All right, what's up, guys? So I'm here with Zach Bingham. I've been connected with Zach for a while now, and we've been recently collaborating on a bunch of projects as it relates to landing pages, both for our agency as well as clients in the e-commerce space. And Zach, obviously, you've been in the space for a while now, and you've been have your hands in multiple pots. Maybe just give a quick introduction about yourself and your experience and how you got into this whole thing.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the intro and just having me on. We've been going back and forth and been in touch with each other for such a long time. So
Yeah.
super glad that we've been able to collaborate on some stuff more recently. But yes, my name's Zach. I've been in the e-com space for like four years now, roughly. I started more so on the SaaS side within the Shopify app space, and more recently was doing some like freelance side projects on the landing page and website side for a little over a year and a half now. And then in August, just started doing this full time. So it's been a blast. Love working with other founders in just brands in the space. And yeah, we've been working specifically on like landing pages, CRO work, and optimizing these pages for e-com brands, depending on your different offers, etc.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of stuff we can get into, but
Yeah.
anyways, that's more or less me.
Love it. Cool. Yeah. So obviously Zach has a ton of experience in this space, working on the app side, now really focusing on the web development, landing page side. So I think obviously with us being a TVG growth agency, I thought it'd be awesome to get him on. And in this video, it's going to be super just tactical and really dive into the do's and don'ts of landing pages. I know Zach came prepared with some like nuggets of wisdom, what he's finding as he's building out pages, and then I'll chime in, maybe ask a few questions, dig deeper into some things. So let's just kick it off with like main do's are, don'ts are. Let's just start there. We can rattle through a few of those.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So the first thing, and I just want to like, I think the number one rule when it comes to building out your landing pages is don't overcomplicate it. I think a lot of us being in the space, looking at so many different websites, we want to test and do all these different variations of like maybe different buy buttons or different elements. And a lot of times, honestly, the day-to-day consumer, they don't care about that. You want it to feel familiar. Like you want them to be able to go to the page, be able to navigate directly to the buy button and go and purchase, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. So like overcomplicating it, adding in like be the first to taste on like your buy button instead of just a buy now. Like a lot of times that's more distracting and people get more confused about that stuff than just being simple and to the point. So that's going to be the like number one call out. Just keep everything super simple. And then the second thing is the hero section. So majority of the time when someone gets directed to your landing page, that hero section needs to essentially capture what it is exactly that you're offering. Imagery with the different offers, like whether it's buy one, get one free, or if you're doing like a 20% off, whatever it is, make that super, super clear. Because the majority of the time, they're going to spend a lot of their time in that hero section, just the top half of the page. They're not even going to scroll down and look into all the details. I mean, obviously it depends. You have the listicles that go a little bit more in depth, and that's the purpose. But on your typical like product landing page that you're building out, I would say spend 80% of your time perfecting that hero section. A majority of it is just fluff. Now, if we're going to listicles, articles, that type of stuff, that's a whole different strategy. I would say majority of the time when we're building those product pages, it's like spend a majority of your time where the consumer, where they're going to spend theirs, which is in that top section. Like they might scroll past everything else super quickly, but they're going to take action in that hero section. So make sure it's optimized and it's super clear to understand.
I love that. So like with the hero section, obviously you have like, when you define the hero section, I kind of look at it as like above the fold, like above the, if you get an ad, typically the mistake that I see is like, it takes a while to even scroll like buy now, or like it's clunky or formatted weird where you can't even like buy it right away. So like when you define that hero section, you consider that just like the first thing that they see above the fold, right? So having all the info. So like very clear on the offer, anything about like the button, like buy now, or like product imagery, like any recommendations there?
Yeah, definitely like a buy now. Like you need to have them to have the ability to take action within that first like above the fold section. If you don't have the ability to take action, conversion is just going to decrease like crazy. You don't want them to have to go and search through the entire page page to finally find the buy now button at the very bottom. Like that just doesn't make sense. So if you're able to have that above the fold with the buy button with some very nice imagery that basically explains what the product is, typically that's what's going to convert the best.
Got it. Nice. So hero section, make it easy to convert. Obviously with us, like we run a lot of ads. That's like the big thing that we need to like optimize. If we're running to a poorly designed landing page and we see the conversion rate is low. I mean, how would you like as a web dev, when you're measuring success on a landing page, like are there any main KPIs you look for where it's like a conversion rate or something to figure out like, okay, this is when you get this up to here, like metrics that you look at to improve that performance?
Yeah, typically, I mean, obviously there's a ton of different metrics that you can look into, but I would definitely say click-through rate is number one. Also just like bounce rate, if people are scrolling and bouncing, it's not resonating with them. There's obviously an issue there. And then I would just say, honestly, at the end of the day, if like your revenue per session, so like with how many people are actually landing on the page and converting, like obviously at the end of the day, you want people to convert. So whatever the conversion rate is there, and then revenue per session, so people landing on that actual page and converting, I would say number one metric obviously is just click through and conversion rate though.
Yep, 100%. Cool. So we got the hero offer. Now moving down, do's and don'ts. What do you got next?
I'll just kind of run through. I laid out like 10 do's and don'ts. They're essentially just opposites, but let's just run through them super quick. So make your CTA button pop is number one. Keep your CTA super clear. Add social proof. Use unique hooks. Crush the hero section. Create urgency. Keeping it simple, optimizing it for mobile. That was a big one that I did want to hit on. Focus on the benefits and then just page speed. Overall, you don't want people to be sitting there waiting for this page to load. You want it to be quick. So I guess to hit on a couple there, optimize for mobile. I would say almost 90% of traffic nowadays comes from mobile. People are on their phones scrolling Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and they get pulled into this ad that then directs them to this landing page. So if it's not optimized for mobile or like the formatting's wrong and you can like slide through the pages, I know I've had that issue when I've landed on different ads before where it's like you can literally click and like drag and pull and it's like completely off center and you can't even like navigate the page correctly. Optimizing everything for mobile, and then just page speed. If like the graphics that you're using are pretty dense, that can definitely slow down the page speed, and you don't want that to have that happen. At the end of the day, like as soon as they click, everyone's just about like being quick, and so you want that to be able to have the landing page pop up like almost immediately. If there's any delay there, people are going to exit, be like, this wasn't worth my time, and just move on to the rest of their day.
What do you think causes slow load speed? Like, is there anything that brands can avoid or know not to add to landing pages there?
Yeah, so I would definitely say the builder that you're using for the landing page has a huge effect on load speed. So use a reliable builder, whether you're building directly like in Shopify within the theme, like the code base there, or if you're utilizing like a landing page builder like Replo or Instant. There's a handful of others out there, but I would say a majority of your page speed does have to do with your builder specifically. And that's just more so on the back end, how everything was built. And then, the second is just the content that is directly uploaded onto the page itself. If you have videos, it depends on the video, but that can slow down page speed. So just be cautious. There's ways to upload it to not have that happen. But whether it's like a direct embed or if you're pulling from another source, and it's hosted in another spot, that can tend to help. Just be careful about the imagery and how much you are uploading into the single page, because every single time someone clicks on that link, it's going to have to upload all that content before it's like fully loaded. Yeah,
and you mentioned Replo. We use Replo, familiar with that. And I think there's a difference between obviously like product pages and landing pages. So like one's the use case you typically would go about like using Replo. I imagine Replo is more for like certain offers or like certain funnels, or would you use even Replo for product pages as well?
I would. So product pages, typically what you can do, I mean, it depends on the offer. You can definitely test with product pages if you have a product page. What I've done in the past with clients is I'll come up with like 2 or 3 different variations of the product page. And if we're running a specific offer to those, great. But what we will end up doing is we'll test the 3 different landing pages, 2 or 3 different landing pages that are a product page. And then whichever one converts the best, we'll actually go and hard code that on the back end to the Shopify theme, like the code there. I use typically like if I'm building out a product page as a landing page, I'll use that more as like a testing stage for that page specifically before we go and hard code it on the back end, just because there's a lot more work there. But yeah, like a listicle or article, like I do all that in Replo and it's super quick. Just utilizing a builder like Replo makes it the development time, like it makes it, I won't even say cut it in half. It's like third or fourth the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, sick. So load speed, we got the hero offer. What other components, make up? I'm thinking like for a lot of the brands we work with, like social proof being a big thing and how to implement that. Any pointers on how to implement social proof or even like apps or like review things that you like to include?
Yeah, for sure. I think social proof, obviously, like a lot of supplement, like health brands, obviously people want to see that it's worked before. So if you have like customer reviews, adding those on there, you can have those scrollable. So it's like, oh, sweet. You have like 10 or 20 of those that use there. I use Junep a lot for reviews. They're great. I feel like personally having the stars or like just like a 5-star whatever review, having that somewhere, whether it's stars or whatever you want to use, just having that sort of element. It's like, oh, 5,000 customers rated this 5 stars. Having that in the hero section close to the buy button so people can see that in it. Automatically just kind of in their head, they're like, okay, sweet, this is good to go. Kind of checks that box for them. Adding in those kind of elements, I think is super unique. I came across a couple pages the other day. There's a fine line, I guess, when you are building out these pages. I think you can add on some elements that are just like overdone and probably not super useful. But then I saw one the other day that was like, it was a creatine gummy. And what they had on the page is like 89 cents a day. And you got like 30 gummies or whatever. And I was like, oh, wait, that's actually super cool. I feel like if I was to see that from the consumer standpoint, like that makes it, I don't know. You just do the math on that in your head and you're like, oh, wait, this is actually pretty cheap. This is affordable.
Right.
Okay, sweet.
Right.
So adding in unique elements in that like shape or form makes sense. Not so much on your typical like buy buttons, I guess. Yeah. Is what I was trying to say earlier. But
I love that. I love that. So that's kind of like a copy thing too that we sometimes do with like our emails and stuff is like you mentioned 89 cents per serving or a day, whatever for this product. Let's just say you have $100 product. Okay. That might be like they're price anchored at $100, but then you have that copy that's like, oh, but it's like 89 cents a day. You're like, oh, I spend $5 on coffee a day. Like I can take creatine for 89 cents or whatever. And the other social proof thing, this is something that I like to recommend, especially with brands that like might not have like, they're trying to build trust and they're trying to like big numbers matter. So for example, like for pre-workouts, we've done this thing before where it's like, how many orders of this pre-workout have you gotten? And then how many scoops are within that pre-workout? And then we can multiply the servings by how many, and you can say like 2.5 million workouts powered by, the product. So it's like inflating, it's true, but it's always like a nice bold number versus like hundreds of customers served versus like 2.5 million workouts fueled. So it's like adds that social proof, a little bit like a copywriting little hack there. So I love that. In terms of, I think that'd be cool to see, like, you mentioned that brand, like, are there any brands that you like just crush landing pages that you look at for inspiration that maybe people can be like, what are like the A player e-com brands doing? I don't know if you have brands in specific we can shout out, or feel free to take some time.
I'm trying to think, man. Let me pull this up. I definitely have like an inspo bank that I use.
Yeah, because maybe we can even have like within this, like a little small piece of content is like a live breakdown of like a killer page or whatever.
I feel like AG1, like it's a super great example. Like, bro, if you go there, they have the super clean imagery, they have the social proof, and then they have a super clear CTA. This is almost the perfect example. It's not necessarily like a landing page, but just like their homepage, they have curated to have that type of vibe. So I'd say they're a great example. They've been crushing it forever. A lot of brands look to them.
Well, look at the AG1 page. One, as well as the social proof that they have on there, they're also like appealing to authority. So they have like the thought leaders that everyone knows, like a Huberman. You have Lewis Hamilton. You have these like big faces on there that adds obviously credibility. Not every brand will have that, but it is a big leg up if you can get notable faces, endorsements onto the page. And then other thing I like a lot is that they like the price anchor. They have like feel the power of one. I know AG1 has a bunch of landing pages out there. I'm looking at like every time I look at AG1, it's different. But the one I'm currently looking at, which looks like it's through a Google ad, is talking about basically price anchoring like, hey, you can take AG1 for $79, which has all these multivitamins and greens and stress adaptogen, like all these, like they list out those ingredients. And then it's like, oh, if you bought those on their own, it costs like 45, 30, fit like as separate supplements, you'd be paying 225, but with AG1, it's only $79. So like the us versus them angle, I feel is a good play as well.
I love this graph as well. The Feel the Power of One graph with the multivitamin, mineral, pre and probiotic. Yes, I love that. I think that's so sick.
That's the other piece too. Like a lot of people talk about the copy on it, but like if you can take like complex things like that and just like, you've done a great job with the landing page that we worked on for even the agency. It's like just those like visual graphics just makes it look like way more easy to understand. And obviously like just for the customer, it's like, okay, boom, all the information's here versus trying to like describe in a paragraph, obviously add a bunch of text. And that's what I like about this one. It's like the text is minimal with like the key things communicated through visuals, obviously.
No, they do a super good job. Okay, so Krieg Gummies was the one that I was mentioning.
Yep.
Where they have as low as $1.47 a day. That's on the product page. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked with their like main homepage, the graphic that they have there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funky.
Yeah, I'm on that now. Yeah, that's a little weird.
Oh, Groons is another one. If you click on the like buy button in the hero section, it redirects you down to the one person or two person. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a good example. So we're currently on Groons, which appears to be some greens gummies. I've actually never seen this brand before, but this is sick. So they have in the option where you can buy, you basically have one person or two person. Sometimes we've run this where it's like, we try to get them to do like, instead of like a 1 month supply, do a 3 month to 6 month supply and then price anchor it down that way. So I do like how they have like the one person or two person. Maybe they're trying to say like, hey, if you have your wife or whatever, buy for both of you for the subscription there. And they have the same thing as Create, like you said, the $1 a day little thing there, which is cool.
They, if you go click into try once too, it almost like I click on that and my initial reaction when I see that X there, that makes me turn back to this one person like auto ship and save option, which obviously is the subscription. That just makes you turn to the subscription. When I see that X, it's like, oh wait, no, I don't want that. So even though I might not even know what this tastes like or if I'm gonna like it, like I'm gonna just automatically go into the subscription just because of the X there, which is interesting because that's like all just psychology. Yeah, I like this example though. And then again, they have the social proof, the 20,000 reviews, 250,000 plus members. Like, I love all that.
And then the other piece, even Gruen, they have the us versus them on there as well. You can see the generic multivitamin versus an overpriced green powder. Almost looks like they're kind of throwing a dig at AG1, I assume, 100%. With that angle, obviously. And another cool little copy here, want to join the 8% of people who are nutrient sufficient. So that immediately goes, oh my God, no one's nutrient sufficient. I want to become this 8% of the population that is actually fueled properly. Same sort of idea here, recommended by experts. They have the appeal to authority there. So it's almost like, it's interesting because it's pretty like all these landing pages are, when someone just looks at it quickly, like this looks pretty simple, but like the psychological intention behind everything on this page, like when you're running an e-commerce brand of this size, like everything here is tested and improved. Because when you're running a brand at this size, they're probably spending, millions a month, especially, I mean, definitely AG1 on driving traffic to the site. Any little improvement like that, the 0.1% improvements on conversion rate, that's really where you see the value of conversion rate optimization of landing pages. So that's where I think like with landing pages, sometimes with brands that are on the smaller side, like I don't want to over complex, like you don't need to be split testing a ton of pages, but once you are spending, the brands that we work with that are probably spending north of 50 grand, 100 grand plus a month on ads, the landing page improvements, investing a couple grand into a new landing page and working with someone like Zach is 100% high ROI just because you can get those metrics and continue to work towards just like constant improvements on that landing page. So obviously with small brands, don't overcomplicate it like Zach said at the start of this, but as time goes on, once you're running a lot of traffic, you can make these mini optimizations to improve everything.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's one of those things that you just improve on over time and you can roll out all the different tests. And that's when you can start adding these more unique elements. I would never suggest to do that from launch though, especially if you are a smaller brand just getting going. Like just stick to the basics, stick to the stuff that works and the offers that work and just go from there. Also, this is crazy. So it looks like AG1 on their like homepage, they're getting 2.2 million site visits a month, which is wild. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And then Groons, on the other hand, I mean, not bad, dude. 773,000 still, which is a
Yeah.
lot of people.
A fun thing I like to do with that is if you're, I don't know, if you're looking like, I like to use SimilarWeb is one tool you can look at. I don't know what tool you're using for that.
I'm using SimilarWeb. Yep.
Okay, sick. So SimilarWeb is pretty cool. A cool tool that you can use to basically just look at competitors and sites and see how many sessions they're getting. Then what I like to do is I like to look at the site traffic and then multiply it by like a standard industry conversion rate. Let's just say a 3% for AG1. Let's say 60,000 orders from that traffic, and then multiply it by what the average order value, what potentially is. I know AG1's like around $70 or whatever. So I multiply that and I see, okay, they're generating $4.5 million of sales every single month from that traffic. So it's like, it's a fun little thing that I like to do. Obviously, like, who knows, they might be getting a 1% conversion, 1.5, could be as high as 4, but just to see the range of the caliber and how much sales these sites are generating.
Oh, for sure. No, I do that all the time. Dude, I was going to ask you, actually, there's a tool that I've been using that actually, I'm sure you've used like Built With or Wabbleizer, any of those other tools to be able to identify the tech behind the site. There's this new one that I started using. It's literally just called Store Detector, Shopify Analysis and Dropshipping. Bro, it has been like spot on. It's been super killer. I don't know where you're going to be posting this. I can send the link, drop the link, whatever.
No, I think that'd be cool to rattle off some like tools and like some like things like you're mentioning. So like tech stack and cool things to look at. So obviously we talked about Replo for landing pages. We talked about SimilarWeb for kind of looking at traffic. This one, what's the URL on this one you're talking about?
It was literally this dude on Twitter. He was promoting it. It's called Store Detector, I think.
I can't even find it on Google. That's why I'm trying to find it.
I'm trying to find the link as well. Okay, here it is. I got it. Store Detector, Shopify Analysis. Okay, dropping it in the chat right now.
Yes, this is what I was looking at. So you can basically put this on Chrome, and then you go to the URL or whatever, it probably pulls the metrics.
It tells you their product price range. It'll tell you their estimated monthly sales, estimated annual sales. It'll give you their theme that they're using. And actually, if you have, this is really cool, if you have SimilarWeb already like as a plugin, it'll pull that in. So it tells you their monthly visits along with global rank, and then just kind of give you a month over month, like the last 3-month analysis of where their traffic is. And then it'll actually dive into their Shopify apps and everything else. They added local competitors as well. Global competitors. Bro, it's literally like, it's such a cool little plugin that I've started using. Literally though. It's great.
Yeah, I love it. No, I mean, like, the first thing for any brand to do, what I recommend is look at what, like, if people are doing stuff, there's a reason why they're doing it, especially these brands at the highest level. I don't know what the saying is, but the best artists steal or whatever. Like, you got to steal the components or see what these people are doing and obviously implement it and put the wrapper of your brand on it. And like a tool like this is sick. I just added it to Chrome, and we'll check out some more sites on that. So that's fire. Any like final thoughts or final takeaways or anything else we didn't cover?
I think the biggest thing, just like with landing pages in general, and just offers, like obviously test, like you got to test to figure out what's going to win at the end of the day. So just making sure you take that into account when launching these landing pages and going into the different variations, testing different elements in copy, and just taking those analytics and being able to find the winners. It's like anything else though.
Probably one variable at a time too. Like when you're probably testing landing pages like that, you test like one thing, let it run, not try to completely change everything all the time. Because obviously with anything in marketing, if you're doing that, you're just not finding what the choke point is or what the true issue is there.
Exactly.
Fire. So Zach, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it. Where can people find you if you want to get in touch? I know you're active everywhere.
Number one channel is probably LinkedIn, just Zach Bingham. You can find me there. Been trying to post a lot more on like Instagram and whatnot. The user there.
The Instagram content's fire. The Instagram content is fire,
dude,
bro.
It's been a lot more like lifestyle and gym content than I would have liked. I wanted to do like more actual business stuff, but anyways, I got to get into it. Like that's one of the goals for this year is doing that.
Yeah, so. You have a good newsletter as well. What's
a newsletter. It's called Ecom Connect. You can find it at ecomconnect.xyz.com. It's too expensive.
Love it.